Boom! What up, y'all? Good morning. Happy New Year. Whew. Welcome back to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy, where we are changing things every single day, having discussions that we don't normally have, coming up with solutions that we never discuss. Happy New Year, 2022. Another opportunity to do something great in your life, and I appreciate you guys being here, rocking with us, and always supporting. Today is going to be a wonderful conversation and discussion. And as this is going to be actually a great week, I have a guest coming on. Whew, that's going to kind of blow your mind a little different. So I need to do something about this desk. I got too much going on here. Going on. What up? Good morning, Kathy. Good morning, Lisa. Yes, blessings and shared and happy, prosperous new year, everyone. Good morning, Mama McCory. Uh, yes, indeed. Happy New Year. We are in a new year, a new dimension. So I appreciate you guys rocking and hanging with us and being a part of all that we do. So yeah, I was having a few issues this morning, but we're good in the hood. Um, we're gonna have like I said, we're gonna have a good conversation and kick some things off. Aunt Sam, great morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, indeed. Appreciate your blessings. Yeah, so you're really gonna dig into this, and I'm excited about this year. As always, I'm supposed to be, right? Who comes into a new year like, man, this is gonna be a bad year. So I appreciate you guys for being a part. Let's see. Excuse me. Let me clear my throat. All right. Give me a second. Un momento. Let me get past the end of building. Let's see. Bam, bam, bam. All right. So if you don't know what we're talking about, this is what we're talking about. And let me do that. Spliggity splow. Um, bang. What's up, Pastor? Good morning. Good morning.
Morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Let's see. Make
A
sure you
new
share.
opportunity.
Yes. New opportunity. It's a new season. Still ain't got that singing voice to kick in yet. Good morning, Deborah. Thank you for being part. Richard. Uh, okay. Well, we're praying for you. Richard said, hello, my brothers. I regret to inform you that Sunday tested positive for COVID again. Today, day 3. Feel a little better, though ill. Uh, I think you went to another language at the end of that, but I got you. We got the gist of it. We got the gist of it.
Lifting
Um,
you, man. We're lifting you, brother.
yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Hang in there. So like I said, today we're talking about how to change the school to prison pipeline. Some of the mindsets that need to shift systematically, internally, and you know, some of the things we've talked about this in the past. Some of the things personally we've done, but some of the, I guess I would say, the ideas that I feel like it will take to kind of create a system. I always relate everything to kind of like McDonald's, and why I say that, McDonald's tastes the same everywhere and has a system, like so you put your order in, it goes through the process, and you get your order out, and it's consistent. Don't even say nothing past. I don't want to hear your comments about McDonald's. That ain't the point. That ain't the point. Listen. And though they're the grandfather of the game, they still killing it probably more than any other fast food. Oh, I mean, Chick-fil-A's catching up, but they ain't there. Lisa, praying for you, Richard. Good morning, Miss Yvonne. But explain that subject, please. I guess what we're talking about. So just hang in there. Hang in there. You'll understand what we're discussing. Um, and what they, and we always talk about the school to, not always, but the discussion of school to prison pipeline, where systematically in certain areas, small infractions turn to a prison stint. Like it's just small
Well, I
things
think
just
you
to get.
start with, what the ACLU calls school to prison pipeline.
Okay, you break that down, brother.
Well, no, I mean, I'm just, oh, okay. So you're supposed to be able to break that down. Um, in, because I don't have the official definition, but the reality is the disproportionate strict discipline given to minority students
Right.
when compared to other students,
Yes, and I have those
beginning in
statistics.
preschool.
Hmm. Right.
So, in other words, blacks and Hispanics uh, get suspended at a higher rate,
Yes, 40%.
get disciplined in a stricter fashion
Hmm.
than other children, and
Yes.
it has a long-term impact
Right.
on their academic abilities, and the numbers show. I know you'll probably talk about it, but
Yeah.
uh, there's a higher rate of those types of children ending up dropping out or ending up in prison
Right. Right. And it's it.
because of the strict discipline. It
Yes.
basically, the more strict you make an environment for a young person, the more apt they are to be in trouble later on in life. The
Right.
stricter you are at a young age.
Right. It's
I
kind of
hope I
like,
got that out right.
yeah. I think so. I agree. It's kind of, and saying that, it's kind of like putting you in a box where, it's kind of, we've watched basketball. When you're at your foul limit, they try to pull you because it's hard to operate when you're under such a strict rule. And there's constantly eyes on you. It's the pressure of trying to walk that line. And we are people. We make mistakes. We make errors. Go ahead.
Let's read it here. I'm just looking it up. Um, It says the school to prison pipeline refers to the policies and practices that push our nation's school children, especially our most at risk children, out of classrooms and into the juvenile and criminal justice system.
Right.
I wanted to see what does okay, so the ACLU says uh, challenging the ACLU is committed to challenging the school to prison pipeline, a disturbing national trend wherein children are funneled out of public schools into the juvenile and criminal justice systems. Many of these children have learning disabilities or histories of poverty, abuse, or neglect and would
Right.
benefit from additional educational and counseling services.
Right.
Instead, they are isolated, punished, and pushed out.
Right. Right. Instead of having the encounter, instead of finding a solution, you're late. You get a label on you, and pretty much over time, it seems like those that are in those situations just accept the label as this is who I am, and you
Right.
get stuck in that. And I personally have watched that. I've seen those that we call the career criminals, and then we know if once you get into a place, once you get a felony, now you've just eradicated some opportunities, you
Yeah.
know, because there's certain things you can't even do now, because or certain jobs, especially certain permits you can't even apply for, certain places I'm sure you can't even live because of this on your record. And I can't imagine the frustration of being totally qualified for something and they say, oh, it looks like you got a felony, like that's happened, and it's like, but I can do it. I haven't, committed a crime in 10 years plus, but I've done my time, but my life is stained, you know, and it keeps us out of certain spaces. And I know voting has gotten a little better. I know some states still, you possibly can't vote because of being a felony, or having a felon. Having a felony. That's what we were trying to say. But yeah, so what we're talking about today is just how to find solutions to keep, especially our folks, from getting into the system. And yes, of course, we can always talk about personal responsibility. But yes, but what starts the process of those that are in and out of the system, and getting caught up. And like I said, it's always personal responsibility as well, but like I said, once you get hit with it enough, and the opportunities and jobs tell you, oh well, you check the box, we can't hire you because, especially anything probably deal with money, finances, because you have a felony, you have a record, you can't be hired, because either because of who they're connected to, or the job, or the funding, or their insurance and things of that nature, keeps certain people out and keeps, opportunities become limited. Um, and in turn, some folks turn back because they're like, well, there ain't nothing out here, like so. Some might feel they have to do. I gotta do what I gotta do. You know. Go ahead, Pastor. You want to share something?
No, I think that, see, for me, we talk about the outcomes,
Yes.
but I don't know how to do that without talking about, understanding where it begins,
Right.
right?
That's bad.
If you're gonna fix it, you have to understand what you're up against.
Right.
As an example, if I tell you that if I tell you that children who go to more strict middle schools, schools that have a higher suspension rate for
Right.
impoverished young people, and then I tell you that because of that experience, there is a higher percentage that those middle school children will end up getting arrested or end up in
Right.
prison,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I tell you that a great example is back in the 90s, you heard stories of principals
Mm-hmm.
that had high suspension rates. They had a
Yes.
history of suspending minority children.
Yes.
They'd go to one school and the suspension rate for those children would increase. They come out of that school, they go to another school where the suspension rate was lower
Right.
and it would increase,
Mm.
right?
Right. Right.
So now, so there's a policy that supports this type of behavior.
Right.
You think about, like, uh what was it? What's the national, president appointed school policy person's title? What are they
Oh.
called?
Over you talking about like federally that's
Betsy DeVos.
appointed by
I'm
the.
talking about Betsy DeVos,
Yeah. I'm trying to
right?
think.
This was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the stuff that was going on with her, like she
Right.
was trying to rescind the policies that Barack Obama put in
In
place
place. Right.
because he was focused on that. He was
Right.
motivated by the ACLU to try and combat the
Right.
suspension rate of minority students.
Right.
And so a lot of it goes back to understanding what's going on at home.
Right.
You send a child to school hungry, they're not going to be focused.
Right.
But what
Right.
happens is you institute a program that says, I'm going to discipline this child, I'm going to suspend this child because of
Yep.
classroom disruption, as opposed to sitting them down and giving them something to eat or asking what's wrong with them. Why are you having
Right.
such a bad day today? Well, I'm hungry. Or or,
Right.
or asking them, did you eat this morning?
Right. Right.
Simple things like that. But the result is isolation. You
Right.
suspend them in school or out of school. And when you suspend children or you isolate children with because of bad behavior
Right.
or misunderstood behavior, you make that child a rebel.
Right.
And
Right.
and what we don't understand is a lot of these policies, this is intentional,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Because schools that have high suspension rates uh, transition into states that have a higher incarceration rate
Right.
for those same children.
Yep. Yeah. Definitely.
So when we talk about how we fix it, we have to go all the way back to where it starts and the policies that support isolating these young people.
Right.
There's statistics out there that show you what happens to the students that are in more strict environments in
Right.
school. I don't know
Right.
what the numbers are, but there's a percentage of the rate of those children going into uh, um, juvenile detention centers and
Mm-hmm.
then ending up in prisons because they
Yeah.
were in strict schools or they had succumbed to strict disciplinary policies growing up in school, and the numbers are higher for African American and Hispanic
Yeah.
males, and what's interesting, it's even higher for Black girls.
Right.
It's
It's
even higher for
interesting.
Black girls. And I'm
Yeah.
saying this is just a story, and I'm saying I know the numbers
Yeah.
are out there.
Right.
Go
We
check it. I don't,
Yeah, I'll give you a couple of statistics because we're kind of building a foundation to kind of discuss this week and
yeah,
come up with some solutions. And like you said, it starts young. You know, and it's hard to see the source of this, but 40% of students expelled from U.S. school each year are Black. 70% of students involved in school arrest or referred to law enforcement are Black or Latino. Um,
Yes.
and 3.5 times Black students are 3.5 times likely to be suspended than whites, and that's a
Boom.
huge one. Um, and 2 times Blacks and Latino students are twice as likely to not graduate high school as whites.
So
Uh,
what happens to a non-graduating school a
right,
student?
right. And it says 68% of all males in state and federal prison do not have high school diplomas. So
Boom.
it's a and once you get to that level of adulthood, and if you already committed or in there for some, like I said, some level of a felony, then it begins to now, like I said in the beginning of the talk, it begins to erode my opportunities. And when my opportunities lack, you know, it becomes decision time. Am I
And
gonna?
even before that,
Yeah,
right? Before, because you don't even know what your opportunities are. What
right,
you begin to understand is how you have been identified,
right,
what you're
right.
being associated with. And so it messes with your mind. And
Yep,
so you become disruptive in your mind before you even know that there's an opportunity to fix what's broken.
yep,
So now you're intentionally making a decision. I'm the bad guy
yes, yes,
because I've
indeed.
been labeled the bad guy.
Yep. We're gonna
You know,
take a
and
quick
and
break.
and then think about those when you bring police, law enforcement, or SROs, school
Right,
resource officers into the equation.
right.
What you find, and I've seen it, you can watch the videos. What you
Yeah,
find is when law enforcement gets engaged, and God forbid, Lord knows we need support at the schools,
definitely,
but
definitely.
when law enforcement or school resource officers are assigned to these schools, counselors are taken out of the equation.
Right.
It's no
Yep.
longer let's work with the child. No, it
Yeah.
becomes let's arrest the child and send him to jail.
Right.
That's what happens. And
Right.
what you'll find is now you have in certain environments, you have more school resource or more police officers than you have counselors in the school. So
Right.
who's talking to the children? All they're
Right.
getting is discipline. They're
Right.
not getting any conversation.
Conversation. You're right. Like basic conversation. All right. I got someone else I'm bringing on, so we're gonna take a quick break. It's gonna be weird because it's my intro, but I gotta put a break in here because I definitely got to add it to my podcast. All right. We'll be right back. Make sure you share. Sharing is caring. I want to welcome you to the Brothers of Legacy broadcast, where we are changing our community one conversation at a time, every day.
We are creating a new legacy.
Change gon' change gon' change gon' change gon' change gon'
A co-op has to start with ownership. We have a mindset of either I want to make a lot of money or survive. Make a bunch of money or I got to figure out how to survive.
When you have a real bond, when everyone has, we come in with real expectations. Because this is covenant.
The whole premise is that we as a people, with our money and time, aren't often making this general possible, often vested in the business.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back.
Hey,
Yo,
how you doing, brother? Been a minute.
what's going on,
Yes,
preacher?
indeed. Yes, indeed. So, like I said, today we're talking about how to change the school to prison pipeline, and we're kind of discussing today some of the fundamental problems, and how this whole school to prison pipeline has come about, and we're gonna dig into some of the things that possibly needs to change before the end of the conversation. This is going to be a pretty long all week kind of conversation. I have a special guest coming on Wednesday to kind of discuss who's kind of like has boots on the ground and some of the solutions he's come up with as well. So I'm excited about this week to discuss this because I'll admit, like for myself, I was always the scaredy cat anyway, so I didn't really get into a lot of situations that was gonna compromise my freedom. Like so I was dude that was like, nah, that doesn't look like it's gonna be a good idea. Sounds good. Sounds like some instant enjoyment, but yeah, that's not me. And and if anything, I was probably my setup was I would be the accomplice or the person that was just I didn't know they stole this car. Like I'm in the back seat chilling, like they stole the car. Like what? Like I didn't even know. I believed the story. I thought their mama gave them this Ferrari.
Yeah.
Like
But it's
so
relative though, right?
Yeah.
Because in
Yeah.
one situation, you can find grace because of your ignorance, not
Right.
knowing.
Not knowing. Right.
But another child in the same situation could go to jail for being an accessory,
Right.
Yep.
just based on the positioning of the individual who's having to make the decision as to what happens with you.
Right. Right. Yep. Definitely.
You could have got passed by because you was light skinned
Yep.
True. Yes, indeed.
with good hair. Seriously,
Can't
somebody
just
said,
stop
"Oh, there's some white in there somewhere. I can't get him. Gotta."
You know what? There you go. There you go. Starting already. 2022. We just started. You started already.
Oh.
I mean that unfortunately that has been a conversation. You're not like
Yeah.
them. Like who?
Yeah.
Like who?
What are you doing with those people?
Mhm. Just like
Right.
that.
Right. Yeah. That is the truth.
You ever
Hey,
found yourself in the office with some of your peers, and all of a sudden the principal tells you to get back to class, you know better, and he leaves your friends in the office?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. See how he nodded his head? See?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, you know what it is.
It was Tower Records. They they got them. They didn't get me. And that was,
You need
I
to
was
you need
there
to
with
watch
them.
the movie Cooley High.
I was-
Why y'all get to go back to school?
right.
Right.
Right. Right. And it's unfortunate. Like it's an unfortunate thing. And what happens a lot of times, and I'm gonna keep it real for me because of that. I'm like, it's y'all that's doing this, not realizing
Yeah.
I'm getting a pass. I was like, y'all the ones, if y'all just stop being black, so black,
Yeah.
you wouldn't get in trouble. Because honestly, like that was kind of my mindset, the way I grew up, like I grew up in the middle class and, like y'all this way because it's your fault, not realizing like some of the ways you grew up, some things you can't decide how you live. Because
Yeah.
I'm a kid,
Dude.
where I live is
You
where I live.
don't even know what you're saying right now, bro. You don't even know what you're
Yeah.
saying right now. I don't know if it's off topic or what, but some of the issues, the additional impact of this is when you are rejected even by your own,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
You feel that.
definitely.
Because the people, when your own rejects you, is because it's the people from your community
Mhm.
that have gotten a pass,
Yep. Yep.
and they forget that, or they ignore the fact that for whatever reason you've been granted grace.
Yes.
You're not different, but you've just been granted
Granted
grace
grace a
for
lot.
whatever reason.
Yep.
And because of that grace, now you can no longer associate
Mhm.
or empathize with the condition, and
Yeah.
that just exasperates the problem,
Definitely.
right?
Yep.
And it's interesting. Somebody had a conversation with Kanye West recently, and somebody interviewed him and said, "What do you say? What is your response to those who say you've turned your back on the culture?"
Mhm.
Mhm.
And he said, I've turned my back on the culture. I don't want to have anything to do with that. He said, because the culture
Right.
wants to drive foreign wants to have foreign, but won't buy any land. He says America uh, is the land of the free. It's the home of the
Right.
brave. He said there's so much barren land. He said Disney bought a lot of it in Florida. This is Kanye
Right.
West talking. And
Right.
he says we want to drive European or drive, foreign cars, but we
Right.
don't own any property. So
Right.
yeah, I turn my back on the culture. The problem with that statement is yes, we should be more wise in how we invest our resources,
Right.
but to say and be quoted as I'm turning my back on the culture
Right, right,
is
right,
basically being received as I don't agree with black people
Right.
right, right.
because the culture is associated with black people and that's where you come from. So now because
While making
you
money
have
off your
made your bill,
blackness.
I was gonna make that point too. Like that. That's
say it again.
ridiculous.
I'm
While
saying
making money.
while making money off of your blackness. You
Right,
turned your black on the black culture.
Right. Right.
right,
Off this
right.
very culture. Yeah. That. See that's a huge problem. Like now that you're wealthy, we made you wealthy, or the culture that you turned your back on has made you wealthy. Now it's like, why not turn around and either help, not give money, but educate, like, because
Yeah.
something, or say something in the music that educates, things like that. I don't, yeah, I
And
totally,
there's
disagree with that.
Nas, and not to make it a rap thing, but Nas and Jay-Z are about the only two that come to mind, and I haven't heard every rapper that put that type of those type of lyrics in their
Right.
stuff.
Right. Like that.
Jay-Z always Basquiat and all these Picasso people I don't know about, and 60 million on paintings, and they talk about that kind of stuff, real estate, land. Jay-Z has a song where he's talking about an investment property that he skipped over and how much it costs today. Like, I don't have none of that in Kanye stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I got him talking about buying foreigns, so it's a
Right.
weird thing to hear from him.
Right.
While wearing a Jesus is King hoodie.
Yeah, he's a weird guy.
Sean Rollins
Yeah.
put George
Oh,
Bush. Yeah, he
don't
quoted Kanye. George Bush don't like
don't like
black
black
people,
people. Yeah.
but he went from that statement
Yeah,
to wearing a "Make America Great Again" hat.
and hugging Trump. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. But he had a.
It's the same person.
But I put all those antics into when he dropping an album, because he was dropping an album at that time, so that got him some serious press. So I believe in most of what
Yeah.
I believe in most of his crazy is for album press.
No, I listen.
I
Let me tell
don't
you
know,
something.
bro. I don't know.
I'm not
I think
saying that
I think
he-
Donald Trump's approach in the
yeah,
beginning was genius,
yeah,
just like Kanye's approach is genius because he's still getting paid,
right,
right?
definitely.
My issue with it as it relates back to the school to prison pipeline is what are the things that happen
Right,
that have such a negative, such a profound impact on our young people that it continues to massage, push, and grow the school to prison pipeline. And part of it is the contrast in messaging, even
Yeah,
from those who have come from
right,
these impoverished
right.
communities, have
yeah,
made it and
Mhm.
have changed, or they support the narrative against the very community that you come from,
Right,
which is absolutely which is a dangerous game to play,
right,
because when you have that level of influence, that means you can impact or affect policy.
right. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And you would,
It has me thinking too, like like the behaviors we do that reinforce the big picture, right?
right,
Or the big narrative, right or wrong. So my local hero is a dope dealer that wears a white T-shirt and Jordan 4s.
Mhm.
So I started saying, well, that's what success is. So when I get
Right.
money, I go get a white T-shirt and some Jordan 4s.
right,
But it's probably the same in every culture. There's probably behaviors that they have in white culture that reinforces white privilege, whether they know it or not. You know what I mean?
right.
But it's breaking that cycle. It's breaking that mold. I love being black. A lot of the things I do is black. I like seeing black businesses because of black influence. Imagine coming into a black establishment and you see, African art or just things that are from your environment, if you
Right.
will.
I'm with
So
you.
it's not throwing it all out,
Right.
but it's kind of like putting it in its proper place. Like getting the Jordan 4s, but you can't eat that night is a little
Right.
little off balance.
A
You
little
know what
bit.
I'm
A
saying?
little bit.
And how we kill one another over some, all those sneaker trade ups that they meet up together and then somebody dies for another pair of shoes. It's just it's off balance a bit. Um, but
Yeah. I mean, I know there's a lot uh that needs to be changed. But so, what would you say would be like one of the first things that needs to change in that? And we kind of tipped on it because Pastor, you spoke about kids getting expelled. I think having the conversation, like you ever see, because we all see it. You ever see the child that is let's just put it this way, not properly disciplined, and they're like 3 or 4, and as
mhm,
much as you're like, man, that child is a hellion,
yeah,
like, yeah, but we all got to keep real, especially all of us with kids. It's like, but that's the parents,
yeah,
because they've allowed their child to, get away with certain things
mhm,
instead, and maybe not discipline, or and it's possible that, like you said, one, they may work so much, the child may be in somebody else's care, and they don't get checked on certain things. We know once a child gets away with it a couple of times, it's hard to change that habit of response to certain things. Um,
Wasn't that the birth of ADD?
right,
yeah.
right,
Right.
It has to start somewhere with the education, of course. I think relevant. I mean, and we nitpicking, but I mean, it could be anything. But like just the classes that are offered, what I mean. I think there needs to be a serious overhaul of the courses that's introduced into high school, middle school, whatever. You know what I mean? It's
right,
time for YouTubers. You know what I'm saying? Social media protocols and behaviors and
right, right,
because some of these kids are losing their life over little silly stuff that they
right,
say on the okay, so you got your kid who had to go to virtual learning and he had to go
right.
to Zoom and his mama walks in the background and now the friends picking on his mama because they saw her in
Oh,
the background Zoom and then we back into the school system and you still said something about my mama or my house. You got to see into my house. You know what I'm saying?
right,
You see how I live now, right? And this comes and so it's all kind of it's mixed, right? It's different from picking on Kanye West. I'm not going to meet him. You know what I
right.
mean? So these social media beefs and these things that are happening in the schools. Um, like how we had home ec. I learned how to make like French
Oh
toast
man,
and monkey bread and stuff. I still
right,
can make it. You know what I'm saying? So it carries over
right,
like lessons. A bill paying class. And I know every community is not plagued with the same things. And I know there's parents out there who are sitting their kids down, giving them. I don't know, they got checkbooks still. I don't know if people write checks, but checkbooks and things like that. So it
so
just need to be some more real life type classes because these kids are going to school for 6, 7, 8 hours a day and then come home and it's not super relevant, if you will, right? You read,
yeah,
you write, you do your math, but after a while, it's like what I'm dealing with in school is not relevant to what I got going on in my personal life.
I mean, I definitely agree with that wholeheartedly. But will that really change that the school to prison pipeline? Because
Yeah.
what I'm asking is, sometimes it's the learning environments, like Pastor mentioned. If I come to school hungry, I ain't thinking about school. I'm thinking about, man, I'm hungry, you know,
Hmm.
and this hunger turns into frustration, and this frustration is countered not by a conversation of what's wrong with you, but it's countered by, we need to lock you up, or we need to put you in a school suspension. You can't do that. Never like, what's wrong? Because especially if I'm labeled a bad child, right? So now there is no approach. It's like if I go to school wilding out, they may say, "Hey, what's up with you? Normally, you cool passes. Like normally, you don't come in here acting like that." There may be a conversation, but if I'm coming in the same mindset all the time, the conversation gets lost. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
I think that was the vision of Montessori,
right, right. I remember that. Yeah,
right? To debunk or provide an alternative to what the quote unquote traditional school system, right? Because the basis of Montessori, and my mom can, I don't know if she's still on here, can speak to that because she was in early childhood education, but Montessori was all about digging into the natural interest of the child as opposed to
Right.
the traditional school system.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to dig and provide opportunities for children based on, their interests,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
that pushes conversation,
Right. Right. Indeed.
right? It's instead of saying this is what we're going to do today,
Right.
it becomes what would you like to do today?
Right. That's good.
Yeah.
Let's dig into that. And so I do believe that those are constructive, critical approaches to changing the experience of young people. And what you have to do then is make sure that that's not based on the color of a child's skin or
Right.
what side of the
Right.
tracks they come from,
Right.
Right.
because what happens is you begin to push them down a particular path.
Yes. That is true.
It goes from what would you like to do to would you like to do this today,
Right.
right?
Mm.
And
Okay.
what happens is you give a child two options, and both options are formed by you and not the child,
Right. Right.
right?
Let's see.
Uh,
Sean Rollins says it starts with youth before going to school. If your child has mannerism, what does that look like?
the child has your mannerisms.
Yeah. Oh,
What
that's
does
just
that
gonna
look
go
like?
like.
Yeah.
But even to that, Rollins, I still believe that teachers are called, just like ministers of the gospel, preachers of the gospel, workers of the kingdom are called. Many are called, few are chosen. I believe that teaching has to be a passion of yours because your complete interest or goal has to be the development of the child,
Right.
not herding cattle.
Right. Right. So let me ask.
Because
Let me
far
ask.
too many teachers are herding cattle as opposed to trying to develop young minds.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. And I know some of Pastor's story. We talk a whole lot, so there are things that we're like, "Did we talk about that on camera?" so, so I'm gonna just have him share some stuff. Um, I like how I know for you, you always talk about the army helped you kind of get away from certain situations. It was kind of like a saving grace, at least to break certain cycles. Would you say, like in your situation, or like were there? I know there was like the YMCA, certain resources that you had available to you. What helped you kind of stay on the right path? What helped you? I mean, we know what Mama did.
I'm about to say,
Mama
mama.
Hey
had,
man,
Mama had the business.
that's real
Mama.
talk though. That I mean,
Yeah,
like for me, it was anything but call my mama.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
Like I don't want to have to deal with Shirley
right,
ticked off.
right.
What was that?
I mean,
Accountability?
that was 90% of it.
Mm,
Really.
okay,
I
Yeah.
can't, there's no way, I saw a couple of whoopings that my brothers got when we were young. And
you
I'm
say
Changed,
I
like,
don't want. I
I
don't
changed my
wonder
I
whole
why.
don't know if I
perspective.
can survive that. you know,
I just ain't strong enough.
man, I just like I don't want any part of that.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
That's really what it was, man. And here's my thing. Like I was a Cub Scout, I was a Weebelo, you know. Yeah,
she said you're
see, tell me
absolutely
that.
right, Pastor Brian.
Um, I did those things, you
right.
know. What the military did was it removed excuses,
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
right?
Okay.
I don't feel good
Right.
today. Go to the
Right.
doctor. If the doctor says you don't feel good, then you can stay in the bed. But if the doctor says you okay,
Right.
you going to work.
Right. Right.
You get paid on the 15th, and if the 15th falls on a Friday, you blow all your money on Friday,
Right.
and now you're not motivated to get up and go to work on Monday.
Right.
Nah, not in the military. Get your
Right.
broke behind up and report
Right.
for duty. Report
Right.
to PT and be ready for first formation. Period.
Right.
There were no
Period.
excuses. You couldn't hide.
Nice.
You couldn't play hooky,
Right.
or you were considered AWOL and you were going to jail.
Wow.
So the military taught me to get up and go to work every day. The military taught me to get up early
Right.
and use the beginning of my day to be my most productive.
Wow.
So
Right.
by the time noon came around, uh, the bulk of my work had been done.
Right.
yeah,
That's good.
That's what I got from the military.
Nice.
So I don't, I tell people, if you ain't working because you don't want to work,
yeah.
Got you.
because the military taught me to pump gas if I had to do
Right.
something
Right.
productive.
Right. Do
But
something.
you're using stuff from the military still to this day, and like that, it's hard to put everything all into one answer. I'm saying, but that's what I'm getting at with relevance. Like, teach the kids while you have their attention, while they're young. Teach them something that's relevant, something I can use at home, something I can use when I leave this classroom,
Right.
and not to throw out every old lesson either. I'm saying let's just do a good job of showing how it's relevant, right?
Got you.
There's math formulas and all kind of equations and stuff you can use when you're trying to figure out how much you're going to get off a discount shirt or something. I don't know, but
Right.
just I'm saying make the examples. All this little Johnny in a boat fishing with his dad, that kind of. I mean, just find some kind of way that you can use examples, stories, and details that can connect with the kids so they can see like what you're getting here, you can use there. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that school isn't just because education really could be fun. You know what I mean?
It
But
can.
if you're worried about how you're gonna eat and who gonna beat you up after school and
Right.
who gonna pick on you because you got a messed up FUBU jersey or whatever, I don't know. If you're worried about all that,
Right.
education, going to school can be really, really, really tough.
But what kept you, in line, or what kept you kind of going down that path?
Man, same for me, man. It's parents, man. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have that option. You know what I'm saying? And then I had school, or I was gonna be the military. And Osama, he just started acting the fool. So I was like, man, I'm gonna skip out on that. But it was that type of accountability. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And I needed that. It set that foundation until I was able to hold my own self accountable. Until
Right.
I wanted more. You know what I mean? Because you even get to a point where you're beyond the parents' control. My daddy would disagree, but you even beyond the parents' control, you have to hold your own self accountable.
Right.
But
Right.
it carried me, man. I just didn't. I was in the system.
Right. Gerard said, at some point growing up, I think we all said mama crazy with some of the whoopings. Indeed. It's always that question mark. That's
I
why you
think
never
about
challenge it.
I'm sorry, the mindset of the mothers. It
Right.
was, I better get them now so that they don't have to get them later.
Yep. Mine was I'd rather
See, that
you
was
cry
praised.
now than me cry
Nice.
later.
Right.
Nice. Right.
Oh,
Indeed.
Sean, being praised for doing good was my
No
motivation.
motivation. Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Always.
Helen Baylor, he liked the applause.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever
And
works.
you got love languages, you got learning languages. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But
Yeah.
it's a challenge for teachers. With a class full of rowdy kids.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that it's a lot going on. Those teachers, it must definitely be a calling.
Yeah. Yeah. I wholeheartedly know it takes a lot to be a
Yeah.
teacher. I just deal with
Pay
my
the,
own too.
pay the teachers.
Right.
I just had this conversation with my mom. I think Saturday we were talking, and one thing I realized about her in teaching, being a teacher, because she taught a long time, 50 years, I
Right.
guess. Probably still teaching now for free. She said, teaching allowed her to maximize her creativity,
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
right? She could create her own environment for children to thrive.
Mm.
And she did it with pictures, with colors, with plants,
Wow.
with life. My mom, she loves to plant things. She loves to grow things. And so, like, I knew all my life she was born to be a teacher because she loved growing things. She
Right.
cooked everything from scratch, you
Nice.
know? So everything was detailed about her life, cooking, cleaning because let your room not be right.
Right.
By the time I got to basic training and a drill sergeant would come in and turn your room upside down, I had already experienced that with my mother. That stuff wasn't intimidating, right? Because
Right.
she could shake a room up, you
Right.
know. And so, but you think about cooking, not just cooking, but baking,
Yeah.
watching dough rise,
Right.
planting seeds and watching them grow. All of that stuff she put into the classroom,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And so you can tell a lot about a teacher by walking into their classroom.
Right.
You understand? I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, you
Definitely.
can tell a lot about a teacher based on how much their personality is in the classroom, as
Yeah.
opposed to uh what's this the stores. You go buy
Right.
a bunch of stuff at the store versus
Right.
what a teacher can create on their own.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
And that's, I mean, and so there's so much to be said about that. And so that's why we have to really look at, because we, like you said it earlier, it's the parents. The parents have your children more than you have your children more than anybody, but second to the parents are the teachers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you know so if you're not as passionate about growing young minds as parents should be about growing young minds, teaching should not be your profession.
Get out. Leave my babies alone.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I've had a lot of run-ins with those. So so listen, I appreciate you guys rocking and hanging with us. Like I said, it's the beginning of a conversation, how to change the school to prison pipeline. We're going to continue this tomorrow and dig a little deeper into it, and really defining what the school to prison pipeline means, and finding some successful habits that we can possibly put out there that'll help change the trajectory, the focus, or the direction of others. I'm gonna get that word one day. I'm gonna just flow out with it. I don't know why I struggle with it.
We all got them.
Always that one word, right? I appreciate it, Mama Corey. Listen, we are now in 2022. I need you to. I'm not even. Listen, this is the moment where I will be handing out the offering basket and telling you guys to give. I'm not even asking that. I'm gonna tell you what I need you to give. I need you to give some shares. I need you to tag some people if you're in Facebook to begin to watch a lot of these broadcasts. I need you to use that texting service that we have, the LWN to 84576. If you're already on, feel free to share that to somebody. Say, yo, just check them out. Let them know what you think. If you don't like it, let them know you don't like it and tell them why. Listen, we like a little controversy, a little arguing back and forth. We thrive on that. We wait for it. It's kind of like the fuel to us sometimes. A little back and forth because we don't get it all. We ain't always right. So we're like, nah, son, you wrong. And then tell us why you're wrong. Tell us why you mad, son. Tell us why you mad. It's my fourth album. Okay, so sorry. So yeah, like I said, make sure you share. If you're on the YouTube, make sure you give us a thumbs up. Every broadcast, thumbs up. It helps with our algorithm. So people randomly looking for black men chatting, they'll get it. And do that. Make sure you share. Like I said, we need your help to grow. We can grow, but we need your assistance in growing this broadcast. And if you're on LinkedIn, we're on there as well. Make sure you follow me, AD Walker Helps. And we are going live on LinkedIn as well. That's, what the great part about LinkedIn is, easier to share because all you got to comment or like the broadcast, and it'll automatically share in your page. They're like, such and such like this. Like, why did they like this? So do that. That's all I'm asking. That's it. I ain't even asking for money. That's it. Just a little bit. Give me 2 minutes of your time just to think about us and share this broadcast. All right. That is it. That's all. Look forward to talking to you guys tomorrow, having a great chat. And listen, you're in the audience or you in the broadcast, or whatever, however you say it. You out there in Facebook, in the intranet land. Ask questions. Let's talk, chat back and forth. And if you have a child that's in the system or you feel like it's going this direction, let's conversate. Let's see what we can do to help. That's what we're here for. What we can do to help you. We're not just talking. I really want to be an assist to people that are going through whatever you're dealing with, whatever advice I can give, whatever resources I can connect to. because my resource web is growing. So make sure you do so. What up, Tammy? Dr. Tammy in the building, and the what's that about to say? Instagram. Lord. Over there, LinkedIn. Appreciate you. And make sure you guys continue to share. All right, that's it. I'm not gonna hold you long. All right, because wife says always, my closing is very long. All right, so we look forward to seeing you guys same time, same channel. Make sure you stay safe. Continue to wear the mask. I know it's 2022. Continue to wear the mask. Continue. All right, we'll see you guys in the AM. As always, we love you. Know that God loves you more. Stay safe. Thank you guys for hanging. Make sure you're sharing is caring. All of my replay peoples that watch in the background that I know